Hey everyone, Reverend Dr. Katie here. I am making this quick post today for all of you to talk about the relationship between vibration, metaphysics, and illness. And this is a huge topic because everyone here has been ill at some point in time, maybe critically ill or really seriously ill, or you've taken care of someone who is. You've watched someone that you've loved become critically ill. I mean, it can't get much more personal than this, right? And of course, we have all the stories in the New Testament of Jesus as the great healer, of God really caring for our physical condition, for our physical bodies. And a great question came up in the group around this, so I wanted to address it really quickly for everyone. And, this can be really tricky because sometimes I've found that both a kind of conventional Christianity and the metaphysical community can get into a blame the victim mode around illness. So I want to discourage us from that, yet at the same time, take care of ourselves on a vibrational level. So I'm going to get actually kind of personal here because I had COVID a few months ago. And from reading around online, I know I have some people in my sphere who seem to say that it was my fault that I got COVID. I was wearing masks, washing hands. And there were some people who said, well, if you hadn't worn a mask, you would have been had a faith enough not to get COVID. And other people were saying if I had been more spiritually aligned, I wouldn't have gotten COVID. Yeah, that's blaming the person who's sick for being sick when they're, living their normal lives. So I don't think that that was the case at all. A lot of people have COVID, and I pray that we're all doing our part to stop the spread of COVID. That being said, the real metaphysical thing that I did when I was sick and that I invite everyone to do is to change my understanding of my relationship to the illness. So I'm going to say that again. My strategy in using metaphysics, my understanding of metaphysics and vibration, is that when I change my relationship to the illness that I had, the one that my loved one too had. It was actually in the hospital for, right? When I change my relationship to that illness, that's when my vibration has the chance to expand, to raise. I was using all my metaphysical tools during the illness and before and after, right? I was entering into meditative space. I was giving myself Reiki. I was exploring my chakras. But the point of that wasn't to put myself into a state of a cure, although that is possible. And when that happens, that is beautiful. But it was to facilitate the space for me to explore what it was I had to learn, what it was spiritually that I could be taught during this time of illness. That's where vibration and metaphysics is its most powerful. Ultimately, we are not the cure of anything. That is not our job. That is God's job. What we can do is raise our vibration to such a state that we facilitate the space for all healing, not cures, for all healing to take place. Someone can be critically ill in their physical body and experience radical healing in their soul. And that's equally or more powerful than the physical healing. This is where metaphysical studies, the metaphysical space, can really come into great union when we have this union between body, soul, and spirit. Now, I'm not saying that the body is not important. It is. These are how we've chosen to express ourselves in the world. Like we should honor our bodies. We are invited to fall in love with our bodies. And so that's a lifelong process, and that's where the vibrational journey is so powerful because our bodies are actually the tools that we use to feel our vibration, to measure our vibration, to sense the vibrational world around us. So the question I think in the group was, can we raise our vibrational state to such a place that we'll never get physically ill? Maybe a few people can do that. Most of us are going to experience illness at some point in time because it's a source of contrast. It's a way that we learn. And we've chosen to be on this physical planet where there's viruses and there's bacteria, and sometimes we have tumbles. But what we can always do is explore what has led us to that moment, right? So, another example, sometimes we do get ill and we can see it's a direct, sometimes we can see it's a direct consequence of our actions. I shouldn't have, I shouldn't have eaten that. I shouldn't have drinking that. I knew when I was doing it that this was going to make me ill, right? That's an opportunity for us to take a look around. Okay, what do I need to do about my vibration to not have this happen in the future? So, direct cause and effect, well, we all have a handle on that, right? That's all stuff that we know. But that deeper work, when we can look into our chakra system, when we can look into our soul journey, when we can look into soul contracts that maybe we've made that have led us to this particular way of being, then we can do the really deep inner work, that deep spirit work of seeing what does this moment have to teach me? What is it that I need to learn? And then opening the door for the future of what's going to happen next. So, a few tips I have for you when you're speaking with your own self, your own body, and when you're interacting with others who may be ill or suffering. So, one thing to not do, this is a how not to, and if you've done this in the past, let's give yourself some grace and then let it go. But one thing that we don't want to do is tell anyone that their illness is their fault. If they'd only done this, if they'd only done that, if they only believed more, if they've only vibrated more, they wouldn't be sick. You don't know that. No one can know that, right? That is between that person, their spirit, their soul, and God, right? So that is not our place to ever tell anyone. Right. So that's one thing that I would discourage anyone from doing. Let's not tell anyone that it's their fault. And then we also don't want to tell someone, well, if you just do this, you'll feel better, right? If you just meditate, if you just eat better, if you just do this, you'll feel better. Again, you don't actually know that. Right? That's between that person and their spiritual journey. That's for them to figure out. And when someone is really critically ill, they may have tried all those things, and then hearing, well, if you just do this, it would solve all your problems. Can feel a little, it can be really hurtful for them, right? So our job as fellow Christians is simply to hold the space, to hold them in prayer, to hold them in high vibration. If someone wants to know something that you have to offer, they will ask. Now, I love working with people on their relationship to their bodies and their chakra system, on working, I've worked with many people who have serious illnesses. And when we can figure out what the relationship, the metaphysical vibrational relationship is between themselves and an illness and a condition, that's where magic actually starts to happen. That's where we come to greater understanding of what is going on, why is it going on, and it's a deeply personal journey, a deeply personal journey. And sometimes we have chosen to experience a certain illness. Sometimes we are, we're predisposed to them. Sometimes they just happen, I think, randomly, by air droplets in the air. You walk through one, you get a virus, right? And so I don't think it's ever a straightforward answer, but we're always invited to into a complex understanding and relationship between ourselves, between our bodies, our vibration, and whatever it is that's going on inside of us. So let me invite everyone to this personal journey so that we can all be the most thriving versions of ourselves, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. I love helping people do that. If anyone is interested in finding out more about this relationship, just reach out to me. This is something that I help people do over the course of studying about metaphysics and bringing that into their faith life. So I promise, if you do dedicate yourself to discovering your spiritual gifts, discovering your metaphysical gifts, doing that in a really conscious way, you will come to greater understanding about your own body, your own journey, and what it has to teach you now. All right, everyone, talk to you soon.